Pope Francis will be in Africa, and this time around he's visiting the Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan. This is not the first time that the Pope has come to Africa. He has visited many other countries that include Egypt, Morocco, Kenya, Madagascar, Mozambique, Mauritius, among others. To understand the Pope's mission to these two countries, I talked to 3 Jesuits, 2 of whom are superiors of the Society of Jesus in the jurisdictions that the Pope is visiting. Father Chisto Chimba is the provincial of the Jesuit province of Eastern Africa, that includes South Sudan. And Father Rigobe Kiyungu Msenge is the provincial of the Jesuit province of Central Africa, that includes the DRC and Angola. I also talked to Father Emmanuel Orobato, who has been working in the background in these peace efforts in South Sudan.
We know that Pope Francis in the past, recent past, has been concerned about peace and reconciliation and justice in Congo, DR Congo, and South Sudan. If you recall, the Pope organized a moment of prayer at the Vatican for Congo and for South Sudan.
Now, there is an interesting detail to the Pope's visit to South Sudan. It is not the usual papal apostolic visit as we've known them over the years.
Yes, it's the Pope going to South Sudan, but it's also the Archbishop of Canterbury, the head of the Anglican Communion. It's also the moderator of the Presbyterian Church. So these are the 3 church leaders who are visiting South Sudan. And that's why, for me, the significance goes even beyond the country, South Sudan.
He is coming in to give credence to this effort, to lend a profile to this effort for peace. So that's where it begins, that it's ecumenical.
I don't know of any time in history when 3 major leaders of Christian communities make an ecumenical visit to a country. The Pope, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the moderator of the Presbyterian. Already, there is a significance that even goes beyond South Sudan. And I hope that people pay attention to this, that this visit has an ecumenical value which reminds us that Christ wants us to be one.
We are calling people back to prayer and faith in the interest of peace.
Unity, peace, reconciliation and justice must become for every South Sudanese a clear option, a clear goal.
This region is gifted with so many young people, but their future is forestalled in a situation of unrest and war.
So I hope that this visit would help to move the process of finding peace in Sudan forward. That these 3 leaders coming as witnesses, coming on a journey of solidarity, coming on a visit of identifying with the people of South Sudan, would remind people that peace is possible, that peace is necessary, and peace is within the reach of the people of South Sudan. And the leaders of South Sudan bear the most responsibility for making this happen. And that's why I believe when these 3 religious leaders come, they will be speaking truth to these political leaders and reminding them that they must now take South Sudan to a place of peace, reconciliation, and justice.
So it's quite good for us. South Sudan needs peace. We need to make every effort to support peace. They are marginalized people globally, but we are quite enthusiastic and ready to make our contribution.
The case of South Sudan has been on the table for quite some time now. And this visit is just the culmination of various efforts that have been made in the background. You remember that on the 11th of April 2019, the Pope hosted the leaders of South Sudan in the Vatican for a retreat. This was in a way to try to bring them to the same understanding of the need for peace in this country. And remember also that this idea of the retreat was not the idea of the Pope. This was the idea of the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Anglican Archbishop, which then he shared with Pope Francis, and they agreed to host these leaders for a retreat. And this time around, these are the leaders that are then coming to South Sudan to fulfill and make an impact on the efforts that they've been trying to put in place for the people of South Sudan.
At the end of a retreat at the Vatican, which I was privileged to be part of, the mood was one of sobriety. You could tell that people had taken in everything that happened, especially the dramatic and very prophetic gesture of Pope Francis kissing their feet. You could tell that everybody was deeply moved and touched. And you could feel that desire that if the Pope could do this, or that awareness that if the Pope could do this, surely we too could do something to reciprocate this gesture, meaning we too could do better as leaders in leading our people to peace. So it was a very, very sobering moment for all. And the mood was one that demonstrated or showed that people were willing to try.
Remember that the Pope is visiting the Democratic Republic of Congo before he goes to South Sudan. And in the DRC, he's going, of course, to minister to the Catholic population, but also to bring and deliver the message of peace, especially in those regions that have been suffering from instability for quite some time.
So the majority of Congolese are Christians, Catholics, and in Protestant and other evangelical churches. And to talk about Catholics themselves, they are like 40% of the population. So I may say in Congo we have around 30 to 35 millions of Catholics. As you know, Congo has been in war for the last 25 years or so. And the Pope has been quite active in advocating for the return of peace in the Congo. We have appreciated his initiatives. And I think his trip to Congo is also a symbol to show that he's coming to console, to comfort these people who have suffered a lot, but also it's a language to all those who are doing the war, so that they may understand that these people need peace.
So I think it is fitting that this journey he's making brings those two countries together. Because in Congo as well, there has been a perennial situation of crisis and insecurity in parts of the country. Several rebel groups are active, and we know that that has caused untold suffering in the lives of people because of people who were displaced, or people who have been made refugees, or people who have lost lives and livelihoods. There is untold suffering in parts of the Congo because of the activities of militia groups.
So you visit Kinshasa and Goma. In these two places, Kinshasa because it is the capital, the Pope is the chief of state, so you will visit the institutions of the state and also talk to the president. Then apart from that, he goes to Goma because in the peace process, Goma is an important city because it is neighbor to Rwanda and it's close to Uganda in the Great Lakes region. So you want to be there as a symbol of reconciliation, unity between communities, between countries of the Great Lakes region.
It's a message of peace that he brings to Congo and it's the same message of peace that he brings to South Sudan. So there is a connection there in terms of the yearning for peace, for reconciliation and justice in both countries.
Congolese who are in other regions are also preparing themselves to travel either to Kinshasa or to Goma. So, there are so many contacts for that, and we are working on that every day.
Wherever the Pope goes, he has a tradition of visiting his brothers, the Jesuits. The Pope himself is a Jesuit, and in his busy schedule, he tries to find some time to chat and talk to his companions. And this time around, the Jesuits in Eastern Africa and in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Angola are happy and ready to welcome their companion.
We are ready and very happy to receive Pope Francis.
If he gives us this opportunity to see us, I have to be there with some of my men from Eastern Africa to see him, and as companions, you know, a Jesuit. I don't need to remind you that the Pope is a Jesuit, so that he cannot lose. We shall speak Jesuit language.
He will spend time with the president of the country, with the bishops, with other people, with so many institutions, but then he will spend 1 hour with the Jesuit. He wants that hour to feel just being in the community of his brethren, cracking jokes.
Having said all that, let's not forget that Pope Francis currently is not feeling well. He has had problems with his knee, and his doctor has advised him to rest. So our hope is that the Pope will be very fit to spend these 6 apostolic days outside of the Vatican. So we pray for him. We pray for all the people that are involved in these peace efforts. And we also pray for the countries that he is going to visit, South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo.